Do I say Minaye? What do I call you?
Mina also it's fine. Yes, Minaye is my first name. Mina is my nickname. So yes, Mina will be great. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Ellen, if you want to join, she's from S Present. That's Ellen. Let me know. I always think the more the merrier, but I actually want to get to know Mina. And of course, the goal is to get people out there to know Mina as well. And well, I
Mhm.
know just about as much as everyone out there about you. Well, there must be more people who know a little bit about you. So yeah,
Mhm.
so we know one another from Movement Makers. That's a program from Evan Carmichael. And for those who do not know who Evan Carmichael is, he is the YouTube expert. So he's the one
Mhm.
who knows how to get the right titles, how to make money. He knows also about the shorts and long ones. And there we have Chris as well. Chris, if you want to join, you're always welcome. So I
Mhm.
see a lot of people here I know from Movement Makers. I also see personal friends, and I also see people I know through other people.
Mhm.
So support. Well, no, let's put it this way. What would you like to
Mhm.
share about yourself? Would you like to start with what support means for you, or would you like to start telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I think we can go either way. I can tell you a little bit about myself. Yes, my name is Minaye Tafara, and I am a relationship coach. I am studying at Tony Robbins. I am studying with them. I did certification before, and I am studying psychology at Carleton University.
Mm-hmm.
I am a mother of three, married, so I am very passionate about, why we do what we do, about our brain, how our brain works.
Yes, I
So
totally get it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm totally, when it comes to mindset, that's totally my goal. So Ellen says, I will watch you in the feed. I have a show at 6 p.m. Ellen, I don't know what time zone you're in. 6 p.m. EST. Well, that's in 2 hours. So
Mhm.
it's only 4 p.m., 4:15. So that's no excuse, Ellen. Uh, and yes, you're welcome that you can always talk. So I'm a little bit
Absolutely.
yeah.
This I am new for this, so I am just learning from you. And Tessa Mary showed me on Friday, so
Mhm.
I think yeah, I am learning. I think it will be fine. Yes.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I've come to understand. So I heard three things: relationships. I heard
Yes.
Tony Robbins, and I heard you say something about everything with the brain really interests you.
Yes.
So
Mm.
how did you? What do you like the most about Tony Robbins?
Oh, what I like about Tony Robbins, his approach, how he deal with things on the spot also when he does, live seminars, workshops on the spot within like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, he solve a lot of problems. So
Hmm.
that is very interesting for me. Like I admire him very much, and I get to know him actually. I was like, it was in 2013, and even he is the reason that I started personal development journey for me. I
Hmm.
was like down. I was newcomer here in Canada, and I had, like car accident. I was like, it was Ethiopian New Year. I am originally from Ethiopia,
Hmm.
and it was Ethiopian New Year, and I was driving at the same time. I was feeling like, I supposed to celebrate, New Year today. All my friends are having fun, that victim-minded
Hmm.
mentality. So I was doing that, and I had an accident. After that, I had time to think about my life. I had two kids, and I was like, I didn't have a job or something like that. It was very challenging situation for me. And then I saw Tony Robbins. Oprah was interviewing him. And I was like, oh my God. Then I started, following him on YouTube. After that, yes, that's how I started following Tony Robbins, and that's how I admire him, actually, yes.
Okay. So when you had your car accident, were you the single parent with two kids, or you were married? What were you the only one?
I was married, but my husband was in the US.
Yeah.
I was here, so it was like I was with the kids. He was at school. So it was like challenging time for me at
So were
that
you
time.
still in Ethiopia, or you were already in Canada?
I was in here actually in Canada. So the weather is another challenge. It was winter, and handling children by myself, because back home I used to work. I have babysitter, like a lot of people help. My brother, sister. After I came here, I have to do everything by myself.
Yeah.
So it was super challenging. Yeah, that time, yes, absolutely. Even it made me to think like now when I think about support, our team for today is support. Even I took like my brothers and sisters support for granted, this kind of support.
Yeah, until you went to Canada.
Yes, but when I came here, every support matters. I learned every support matters.
True.
And we have to be grateful for the people around us. Absolutely.
So what happened to when you had a car accident? So were you injured? Were you out of the running for a while? What happened with your children?
Pardon? What
When you had
could
your
you
car accident, you said you had a car accident. So what happened? Were you injured? Were you out of the running? Who took care of your kids?
Yeah, it actually God has mercy. I saved that time. The car was like out of like control. It was like a movie, but I saved, and I felt that was like moment of grace for me. Like I said, like I don't have to live clueless. That stuck person thinking a lot. Even I was not realizing like I supposed to look. I supposed to be present in the car. I have metaphor for my life. I just consider it like a car. We have our own lane. When we live, we have our own lane. We have other people's lane, right? There is other people's lane. If we jump like that without realization or without, recognizing what's going on in us, outside of us, it is going to be a lot of, we can't say like crash, accident. So yeah, it was like an eye-opening experience for me. It was
So how did you end up after the car accident?
After the car accident, I started, Googling about things. And then I learned that I was stuck somewhere, I was stuck in victim-minded situation. And because I used to have, when I was back home, I have like bachelor's degree in accounting, and then I used to have good work, I used to work, I was provider. And after I came here, I had to start from scratch. So I couldn't accept that, like I was like, if I was there, but the reality is I was not there, I was here. So I have to learn how to deal with this situation, or I have to change, like I have to, if I don't like the place where I am, I have to change it.
Yes.
But I was living in the past. I was like saying nobody is going to help me here. I am by myself with the kids, that kind of thing. So I know when someone moves to another country, it is a lot of stress, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. We
So,
have expectations. Yes.
Ida, I'm not sure if it's Ida or Ida. She will probably tell me if it's Ida or Ida.
Mhm.
She says, I love Tony Robbins too and Oprah. And now
Mm,
here's the very important thing. She says, your story is very relatable. Your story, Mina, from most
mm,
newcomers
mm,
to Canada. And of course, she's talking about the Canadian experience. And of
mhm,
course, when you come from certain countries, especially countries like Ethiopia and all other, there is
mhm.
a strong family connection. You know, usually you live like with multiple generations in a house, in a home,
Absolutely. Yes.
and that's of course a very different thing. And then combined to that, when you go to a different country and you have to give up your job and all that stuff. Okay, so what's going to
Absolutely.
happen when you don't know anyone?
Absolutely. And even like for myself, after like I felt not being enough. Like I felt like not enough for a long time because we have to study English. I know English when I was back home. Like I went university and everything. But when I came here, my pronunciation, you know, how I figured out, I was pregnant with my second daughter,
Uh-huh.
and I went to clinic, you know, like then for checkup.
Yeah.
And I told her about myself, and she said like, "Excuse me, I didn't understand what you said. You have to repeat it." You know, I was like, "Is she talking to me?" You know, like because when I was back home, I used to translate, you know, movies or something for other people. I was like, I felt I know English, but when I came here, because of my pronunciation, everything, you know,
Yeah.
then I started taking courses after courses. When I meet people, they say, if you take, you know, my management course, that will be great. I take that. And then somebody else, if you upgrade your accounting, you will get a job. Okay, then let me do that. And then somebody else might say, like, if you study entrepreneurship, you can start your own business. Okay, let me study that. Then I studied like 13 certificates, you know, like
Hmm.
study after study after study after study. But I felt stuck there, like it was very, yeah, challenging situation. But it helped me to look for myself, like who am I as a person? Why I do what I do? What is my motivation for life? You know, what I want to do in my life.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
great.
figured out those things while I was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I'm going to wave to someone. She's a very strong woman from the Netherlands who I see that she's watching this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people, your story is a very powerful one.
Mm-hmm.
What I've heard from a lot of people in the last couple of months is that everyone says we don't speak English very well, so we don't want to speak English. Um, yours is a little bit different because you thought, you know, you were the one, the expert actually in your country, and then you got acquainted with actually people who are speaking some sort of English. And what I mean is, we've got British English, of course, in the UK, and then there's the
Yeah.
US English, which we have in the United States and in Canada. Well, Canada, I'm not sure if it's British or American
I think
English.
it is a little bit different. I don't know. In Ethiopia, I think we are more of British English, but here I think it is a little bit different. I think.
It's the difference between dance and dance, and mom with a O or mom with a U, and color with OU or color with an O. So which
Yes,
one do you have in Canada?
I think color with O.
Okay. So then it's probably US. So it's like
Yeah.
dance and tomato and need tomato and not dance because
I
that's
think,
where you know the differences. And there's a lot of Z's instead of S's in
yes.
US
Yeah.
English.
Yes, for example, in Ethiopia, we say trousers, for pair of pants.
Yes.
Here they call it pants,
Yeah, exactly.
So it is like, yes.
Yeah, I had to get used to it because, of course, at school we get the British English, including the expressions. And I was raised basically, well, when we had satellite television, which was
Mhm.
when I was a teenager. Let's see. Ida says in
Mhm.
Canada it's more British, but also very mixed with the influence of French too.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that French
Thank you,
makes
Aida.
sense.
Really appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah. So when I start to listen to music and movies and all that stuff, that wasn't British English, that was American English, US English.
Mm-hmm.
So different
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation and all. And then after a while, of course, you hear all that accent. So it becomes mixed. I also went to Australia for a little bit of time. Of course, they have a
Mm-hmm.
totally different accent. It's more sort of lazy like. So it's British, but with
Mm-hmm.
different. I don't know. I think if people who speak Australian, then they know what I mean when I talk a little bit about the lazy. It's the way the accent has
Mm-hmm.
been mixed. Um, and then of course also in the US, depending on where you are in which region, they talk very differently. So I'm used to a lot of people in Florida, and because of all the lives I'm doing nowadays, I'm not no longer used to the people in Florida. But my
Mm-hmm.
accent is all over the place, and of course I'm Dutch, so I've got a
Oh,
Dutch
okay.
accent as well. So,
Okay. Yes.
but at some point I think I was in high school when I already started writing in English,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds a little bit like what you probably did because you were already translating for other people. And
Yes, yes,
and
absolutely. That's
yeah.
the case. Yes. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
nowadays, what I do is I basically have all my devices in English, US English, by the way. And I
Mm-hmm.
also, when I watch series on television, I usually have English translation underneath, so I can actually see what the subtitles are in English. So when I
Mm-hmm.
hear something but I don't know the word, I can look it up.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yes. I
and
do
now,
the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah, I do the
absolutely is.
same.
And you
Yeah.
know the most basic of things I really got to know where the differences were because I'm going live now once a week with someone from the UK. She's called Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and so recently we were talking about kindergarten and preschool and elementary school, and
Mm-hmm.
everywhere around the world, whether it's English or not, it's something different. It's called differently. So that's so
Mm-hmm.
funny. And I guess
Absolutely.
when we know there are differences, we can actually, start working with it. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so I get what you say, and I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of people said to me, um, okay, so I'm sorry. Duolingo is that's an app which actually has to do with languages. Duolingo
Uh-huh.
is in language.
Yes.
That
Yes.
I got passed by someone else. What am I going to do about it? And I'm like, huh? I'm having this conversation. But like Duolingo, it also gives you like right now I'm learning Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've
Wow,
got
good for
Spanish and
you.
English,
Uh-huh.
as opposites because they don't teach Spanish in Dutch. So for French, I
Okay.
could choose to do it in Dutch, but I'm so used to doing things in English that I do English. But like you
Mm-hmm.
have the English in Spanish, there's of course the Spanish in Spain, there's the Spanish in South America, in Mexico. There are so many
Wow, yes,
different
absolutely.
versions.
Absolutely, yeah. Spanish also, I think they have that different thing.
Yes.
Um,
So Ellen
mhm,
wants to know if you had to learn English when you went to elementary school. And
mhm,
okay, and Ellen is asking the same for me. So no, I didn't get it at elementary school. It's even
mhm.
more so, I didn't get it until the second year of high school. So I was
Okay.
14 years old when, or 13 years old when I started to learn English at high
Uh-huh.
school, but at that time I could already speak English because I was like about 10 or 11 years old when I got
Mhm.
exposed to music from Kiss. Dynasty was from
Oh.
79. I was 8 years old by then, and I think my
Mhm.
brother actually brought the music home the next year in 1980. Yes, I'm old, I know.
Okay.
And that's when I started translating the songs. Yeah,
Oh,
like, okay, what are they
okay.
talking about? What are they singing? So when I went to high school, and in the second year I got I think it was in the second year that we got English. I'm not sure. Maybe it was in the first year.
Mhm.
I already was
Yeah. You
fairly.
were still in your country, like when you were doing that, you were still in your country, or you moved US already?
I still live in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's my wish to move to Florida one day. Florida or California, I'm not sure. Florida
Mhm.
possibly because I've got a lot of friends in Florida on the west side of Florida. So I would
Mhm.
really,
Mhm.
really love to go to the Keys and live there. There's just one really huge downside. It's humid over there. So
Mhm.
Ellen says, I noticed that here in America you are forced to learn English and even held back. It's better now. Also, speaking of when I was growing up. Okay, I'm not sure
Mhm.
if I understand what you're saying, Ellen.
Mhm.
Um, so in America, the basic language is English, so that makes sense. You know, the thing was
Mhm.
here in the Netherlands um, that, of course, our main language is Dutch.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was one of the few who could already speak English because I was just so immensely interested in speaking English. And we have
Mhm.
one huge advantage as opposed to a lot of other European countries. So, for instance, in Germany, but also in Spain and in French, they use we have subtitles in Dutch, but we
Uh-huh.
hear the original language. So
Okay.
and what they do in
Like,
Spain and in Germany and in France, they actually have
mhm.
the people sing what do they call it? They actually have them pronounce it in Spain or in German or in French. So you never
Mhm.
hear the English language. And we are
Oh.
forced to read what it says in Dutch
And
underneath.
wow. So like it is like both ways?
Yeah, so the subtitles that you now can generate on YouTube, for instance, or here on Instagram. So
Yes.
the what do you call it? Not the capitals. Um, the moment I have to think about it, I always forget. I'll tell you later. Um,
Okay.
but you know what I mean. So those subtitles, those are immediately generated here, and they were always in Dutch. And that's, I think, whether we were watching British channels or German or, oh yeah, captions. Yeah, thank you,
Mhm.
Ida.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it didn't matter. It was always, it's a Dutch translation. And even we have some dialects over here. So when you're in the
Mhm.
north of the country or in the south, so the south is close to Germany, for instance, and little bit to Belgium, so also to the French speaking. So sometimes they
Mhm.
have really like an accent that you're like, huh, what? Hmm? Same with especially when you talk
Mhm.
the people in the north of the country, the people from Friesland, they have a totally different dialect which is not retraceable to Dutch. As in the
Okay.
south, it's influences of German and French, and so I can you can actually figure
Mhm.
out what it's about. But there
Mhm.
that's different, of course, to um, to what's in the north of the country. So just give me a sec, because we're on Instagram. People can respond. So that's different from when we do, for instance, StreamYard or YouTube. So then you can see it too. But this disappears a little bit quicker. So I'm just going in between, going into what people are saying, because that's what I like about Instagram, that people are actually responding real time. So it's not that I'm not interested in you, Mina, but we're actually having a conversation with more people.
No worries, really. I am here to learn also. So, and also like we are here to discuss about,
Support.
Spontaneously, we said, right? We are going to have a spontaneous conversation.
Yes, that's true.
Absolutely. So, yes.
So Ellen says, my sister-in-law is Mexican, and her children, once they started going to school, they spoke English more, but she speaks Spanish in her home. They understand, but I can speak it back to her. Yeah, I get what she's saying, and I guess that's when you go to Belgium or Canada. I assume that in Canada there's a French part and there's an English-speaking part.
Yes.
So depending on where you are, you probably, when you're in the English-speaking part, I suppose you also learn to speak French. And when you're in the French-speaking part, you also learn to speak English. But when we go to Belgium, for instance, the French-speaking part don't know Dutch. And the Dutch-speaking part does know French.
Wow. So you have two languages in your country?
No, because I'm not from Belgium. I'm from the Netherlands, which is above. But almost all Dutch people speak English, well, except for the generation which is a little bit older than I am. And the generation above me, above that one, does speak English. So it's like one generation was cut off from speaking English, but most of us can speak English one way or another.
Interesting, very interesting pattern.
And then we get taught German and French for a couple of years in school as well, and then you get to choose whether you want to do an examination, in your final year for French. So I actually did an exam in English, in French, and last minute I said no, not German. I was done with German because there are so many variables, and I was like, not for me. I even had a year of Latin in between. So, and now I'm learning Spanish. So, yeah, but I do get what she's saying. So my mom, and I was supposed to go to ask you questions. Now I'm talking. I warned you. I can easily talk. So my mom is from Indonesia, which was the part where she was raised was a Dutch colony. So I always thought that the whole of Indonesia was a Dutch colony, but that wasn't true. It was only a small part, which was the Dutch colony. So my mom, she always spoke Dutch. And then the local language was something, it was sort of Malaysia, but they call it nowadays Bahasa Indonesia, the official Indonesian language. So when my dad, who was born and raised Dutch, went to Indonesia, you're still following? They exchanged family members, basically. So my uncle, do I say this correctly? My uncle from Indonesia went to the Netherlands, and the sister, I don't know. Then, well, there was an exchange anyway of family members. Let's put it that way. Way too difficult right now. Anyway, my father was able to speak the local language from Indonesia, and so when we grew up at the house, they used to start in English. Of course, at some point we could speak English. Then they changed to French. then we could understand that too. And then they switched to what I call Malays, so the Bahasa Indonesia. And we never got taught Bahasa Indonesia. So what Ellen says about that, why did they swap? Was it to have both cultures? No, it had to do with being able to study and work at other places. So my dad always wanted to go to Indonesia because his dad had died during World War II. And it was my granddad's dream to go to Indonesia. And so he helped out the people in Indonesia because of the Japanese war, which was apparently still going on when the World War II had ended in the Netherlands. I'm not sure if that's factual. It's what I think is true. I would have to look up the numbers, actually, in the dates. But then the brother of my mom, who was in Indonesia, he wanted to be in the Netherlands for some reason. Now, quite honestly, I don't know why he wanted to be there. I only know that he got married to my aunt, which was the sister of my father. And hi, Stella. And then my dad, my mom and dad got married with what they call the glove. So it's not, they weren't at the same location. It was like on paper. And then my dad was able to go back to Indonesia again. And then in the 50s, they had to make a choice whether they would become Indonesian citizens or Dutch citizens, remain Dutch citizens.
When they were 15 years old?
No, that's when in the 1950s. So I wasn't born then.
Okay.
Yeah, when you very old. I would have been in my 70s now. And so then they went to New Guinea. And they lived there for a couple of years, and then they had that same choice again. And that's when they came to Holland. And actually, we were supposed to be born in Australia, but they said my mom was too dark for Australian people. And my mom was a little bit darker than I am, a little less dark than you are, you know, when it comes to skin color, but she definitely was a little bit darker and with freckles. So, and she had really black eyes. So, okay, so Ellen, I'm not sure what is about, but I assume that's about being kicked out or not being accepted in Australia. Yeah, when it comes to discrimination, I know all about it. So if people say you don't know about it, I do. Because when I grew up in the Netherlands, and again, I'm sorry that I'm talking all the time, Mina. That's me.
It's okay. Actually, our conversation went to, about language, different things, your family history, we are having conversation.
That's true.
And yes, and when you were telling me about your story, most of it resonates with me as well, because in our country also we have 82 languages, different thing, different tribe, different things. So yeah, when you were explaining about your culture, that resonates with me as well.
82? Yeah. 82
languages
wow.
We have. Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah, in Ethiopia we have 82 languages, and Ethiopia is the origin of coffee. We like coffee. We have this coffee ceremony. It is like group therapy, We gather around, everybody ask about each other. How is your day? How was your grandma? We ask about each other. Here, I figured they call it group therapy, Yeah. But the way we live there is like that.
Yeah.
And then from that culture, we came here. Of course, everything has its, it's positive and it is negative thing, right? Everything has that. So the loneliness here it was very challenging, as I said, very challenging for most of newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
We don't expect this. But
Yeah.
when we face it, even if we expect it, when we face it, it is like newborn child, we have no idea here what's going on. We have to learn life skill. We have to, I remember after I came here, when I go outside, like, there is no one, like, no one. I was like, wow, oh my God, it is very like, and I used to say hi to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I had shocking experience. It was winter. Everybody was inside the bus station because it is cold outside. I went inside the bus station and I say like, hello, good morning, everyone. Everybody's like, you know,
Yeah.
some,
Who are
some
you?
people.
Why are you saying hello to me? Yeah, it's the same in Holland, basically. That's not that different. So Ellen has a couple of questions. So she has one for you and she has
Okay.
one for me. The one for you is, are women treated differently in Ethiopia compared to men? And the
Mm-hmm.
other one was she wanted to know if my mom was seen as a black woman. Well, actually, to the degree I still am, and this sounds a little bit weird. So I've got the dark brown eyes, I've got the black hair, I've got a fair skin. It's not as
Uh-huh.
white as the Dutch people have it. We call it milk skin, milk colored skin,
Ah,
literally,
okay.
you know.
Okay.
So and there's always a little bit of color that remains after I've been in the sun. So my color always remains a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the original, and what's called original because we Dutch people are travelers, compared to the normal original, and there's not even a normal here.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
if you look at Dutch people, they're normally blonde, blue-eyed, and with a fair skin. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm a mixture, and so was my mom. So a lot of European people came to Indonesia because it was a colony and it was trade, which was the main thing over there. So I've got a French great grandfather, I've got a Portuguese great grandmother. So my eyes
Mm-hmm.
are from my Portuguese great grandmother. I didn't know that until now. I'm getting
Wow.
older. I'm looking more and more like my mom, by the way. When it comes to my character, I'm more like my dad. He was the one who was always
Wow. You took
threatening.
most. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I grew up, I got bullied like other people who came here from Indonesia. And the shocking thing is that people who are actually like 30 years older than I am, or 40
Mm-hmm.
years older, they use the same nicknames. Or, well, nicknames is it sounds good. It's way too positive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the names they were using for them, they were still using for me. Back then we didn't have we got people from Suriname, we got some people from China, there were people from Asia, Indonesia, but we didn't have back then we didn't have the Turkish people and we didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
people from Morocco like we do now. So
Yeah.
when it was the 1980s. I was still one of the few out there who looked like this. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like I said, I got bullied when I was at elementary school. It started as early as 4 years old. I didn't understand it. And but that at some point it changed. So when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, that's when we had people from Turkey and from Morocco and also
Mm-hmm.
from other countries. That's when actually all kinds of cultures came to the
Mm-hmm.
Netherlands. And then years later, of course, all other European countries were able to mix because the borders were gone within Europe.
Okay. Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I was seen as someone who, yeah, basically I'm not dark skinned, but I was looked as someone who was, yeah, I suppose a black woman. but I'm not as
Mhm.
black as for instance you are. So it's a little bit like, okay, how do I say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
so are there any black-skinned people? Yeah, there are a lot of people over here, or do
mhm,
they just consider skin as dark and not as person of color? No, we don't look
mhm.
at people like they're a person of color. I don't think we do. I think
In our
we
culture also, sorry for the interruption. In our culture, there is no color thing we supposed to tick, like there is no black or white or something like you tick boxes like that. We don't
Mhm.
have that. So I experienced that here when I came here. Like I am, you tick this kind of thing. So
Mhm.
it is a little bit different approach.
Yeah, yeah, and that's true. And I think it's in the Netherlands, of course, when you see people who are really, really, really dark skinned, that's always a little bit weird. And
Mhm.
I'll just say it the way it is because we don't see it daily. But we look
Mhm.
at character and we look at the way people behave. So when we are
Okay.
talking about discrimination, and there are some sayings over here, it is based on the behavior of people. So
Mm.
I mean, like, there were so many people here from Suriname, with the colorful clothing and all that stuff. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
that's wonderful. But,
Absolutely.
it was like, that was normal. The people from China, same story. Okay, they couldn't spell,
Yes.
same, you didn't even notice they were there. And then we
Yeah.
got the Turkish people, and especially Moroccan people, and that was a whole different ball game because they had to grow up without their parents in either the country where they grew up, and then at some point they would come to the Netherlands, and like you sort of experienced, there's this culture over there where the whole family and everyone in the streets, they look after one another. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
in Canada and also here in the Netherlands, that's not the case. So
Yeah.
we rely on parents to teach how to behave, not
Mm.
necessarily at school too, of course, but the education is primarily done at home. And when you come from a different culture and you don't know this, then you get very weird things. And that's basically,
Yeah.
I think people are judged on the way, that they act. I mean, and that's.
Absolutely. I mean, like we try to balance as a parent. Also, we try to balance with our kids. Try to teach them our culture. Where are they from, and also they learn this culture. Sometimes things might be confusing. But we balance. We discuss it. I believe it is necessary to teach our kids also where they are from, our culture,
Mhm.
the cultural background as well.
Sure.
So, yes, so like that. So, is that okay? Like if we discuss about the team, like support, what does it mean support for you? Let's see.
Yeah, in 1 second, because we still have one
Okay.
question for you.
Oh, we
And
have?
maybe we can combine the two. So in
Okay.
Ethiopia, how do they look at women compared to men? Are you equal?
Um, in the cities, like it depends where you are.
Hmm.
In different countries, also like when you are in the cities, you are equal. Still, we are working on it in Ethiopia, you know, but it depends when you are, you know. In the capital
Yeah.
city, in the cities, like we go to school to, with boys together, and we work civilized, that kind of. I think it is a kind of the same pattern for every country, when you are in the city, different than,
Hmm.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
is
I know what you
that's how I
mean.
see.
It's like
And,
if you have had education or not, so it has to
yeah,
do with the development, you know.
yeah,
And then we
then
get back to the educational system. I mean, you said you went to university, and you've been studying a lot. I mean, you were saying that you had like
yeah.
13 degrees at some point. So
Yes, I have been study yeah, a lot. And in the, when we are talking about like most of the countryside, of course, we have to work on that, like still working on that so that girls can go to school, study, that kind of approach. Even now, Ethiopia from the, like for the parliament, it is like equal number of men and women in the parliament.
nice,
So it
good.
is like the ministers are equal in number. For, let's say if there are like 20 ministers, 10 ladies and 10,
Yeah.
men. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I try to do over here in the Netherlands as well. So back in the
Uh-huh.
days, and I'm talking 1960, 1970 probably, when you got
Mhm.
married, you were supposed to be a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
once you got married, you stopped working. That changed
Mhm.
later. I'm not sure when it changed. I think in the 80s or the 90s. Um,
Mhm.
so there are actually like manuals how to behave as a good housewife. So that's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
and when we come to sport, the why they did so was because they wanted the wives to support their men because the men were earning income and all that stuff. So I'm slowly
mhm.
making the move towards support. Um,
Absolutely.
by the
Yeah.
way, Ellen also said that skin color still is very present in Canada. You
Color,
probably know better.
color,
Yeah, skin color.
like skin color. Is that about? I do, it. I mean, like it might be present here, but personally, I don't feel it. When I say I don't feel it,
Hmm.
I don't know how to put it.
Yeah,
For
I get
example,
you.
for myself, if you are white or black, we are the same,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
It doesn't matter where we are from, we are the same. I
Yeah,
mean, like internally, we are human.
yes.
We don't choose to be this color, it is like you are like this. I just accept who I am as I am. Even if someone has a problem with that, it is not my problem, really. I don't worry about it. I don't, like think about it every day, sometimes this kind of conversation might be challenging, you know.
Hmm.
One day I remember I was waiting for the bus and a lady and her daughter, she's like 4 years old or 5. And her daughter was asking why my skin is darker than her,
Hmm.
like, and
Yeah.
the lady was like, no, 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 we don't say that, like she was like embarrassed. I was like, no, 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 I am okay with that, like I don't get offended or something. I explained like we are different, that as a human being inside, it doesn't matter where we are from, we wanted to be heard, we want to be respected, you know we want to feel like we matter, that's how I see it,
Yeah.
you know
And I also add to it, it's the way you treat other people. And
yes.
if you have respect for all people out there, or just for the ones who are from your original culture. So a lot of people who actually came here and
Mm,
who ended up with their families over here, they only have respect, and that's funny because a lot of people think I'm either Turkish or Moroccan or wherever I go, they think I'm part of their culture because of my color, but they don't think I'm
mm,
Dutch. Let's put it that
mm,
way. Um, so um, they, depending on how they look at me, they might think like, okay, you have the same dark color that we are, so I'm more respected as opposed to a blonde woman. Then again, because I look people straight in the eye, because I'm used to it, they know that there's something different about me, and they consider me, what do they call it, like prey. You can hunt me down because I'm up for anything, which of course isn't true. I've got my own respect, my own guidelines, my own rules. And just because I look you in the eye and I'm not afraid to communicate with you, doesn't mean that you can hunt me down. You know, it's the same like with people in Germany nowadays. They say that they shouldn't be wearing short skirts out in the streets. Why? Because people from other cultures are like, oh, but that's interesting. Oh, then we can, touch you and do all that stuff. Because a lot of people you have come here aren't the Christian variety when it comes to faith. They're like Muslims. So they are covered up. And what happens when people are covered up, ladies, then the men, they see like, okay, so if you're a proper woman, you're covered up until you're in the house. And I've heard some shocking stories about how the ladies have to dress inside the house, and that's not good, by the way. So the people who are not covered up, they are like, oh, okay, so we can, and that's how I actually, and when it comes to looking different at people, that's how I got to look differently at people, because when I was growing up as a teenager, there were people who were like 20 or 30 years older than I was, and they would put their hands on my legs, because they were like, oh, you got black hair, you're in shorts, so, you get what they were thinking. And it all has to do with education, of course, because the people who came here, they did work that other people in the Netherlands didn't want to do. So they didn't have proper education. And the sad thing is that when the children came here, I'm ranting on, I'm sorry, they didn't learn the Dutch language because their parents couldn't speak the Dutch language. So they were falling behind at school. And then we talk about education, and of course they couldn't cope and get along as good as other people who were native speaking Dutch people. And so it depends on what you want. I mean, like someone like you, when I look at you and you tell me, you already spoke English when you were in Ethiopia, then you came to Canada, and then you realized, okay, I need to do a little bit about my pronunciation, but you also took lots of other courses, all that stuff. You are always developing. And what I've noticed,
yes.
and
on that one, a little bit point there. Learning, it is a good thing. Learning, it is fantastic thing, but learning a lot of things stuck in learning mood is not good. Like from my experience, at some point we have to learn and take action into things. Like I felt suffocated with the information I was taking in. I am not doing anything. I am just learning.
Yes.
By the end of the day,
but not taking action.
yes, not doing anything with the information. I think that's not how it's supposed to be. From my experience, because I have been drowned with information I like.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and it's when it comes to and that's, I think, both linked to fear and support. When you don't get support, you don't go out there, and when you're experiencing fear and you don't have the support, you don't go out there as well. So
absolutely,
and that's the thing. We need to get that bit of motivation from other people to say, okay, let's get going, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say we are doing something bigger, if we are doing something bigger, for example, we have to go out and do, Instagram live, we have to communicate. We have to have that courage to do something different, right? So,
True.
like learning is like very comfortable, safe. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
waving to Rosie. Rosie joined too.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's true. And when it comes to get to the topic of support, we of course a large part of the people here who are watching, like Rose too,
mhm,
we come from a community of people who are not just learners, but we want to achieve something. We want to get our message out there. Otherwise, we wouldn't
mhm.
have been part of movement makers. It's as simple as
Absolutely.
that.
Yes.
And when it comes to sport, of course, it all started with this challenge where Evan said, okay, go out there, go on Instagram, get out there live and get to talk to
Yes.
people. Little did
Yes.
I know it would be addictive. I like going live and people know
Yes.
that. So,
Thank you so much for
yeah,
your
Rosie says
support. Thank you.
absolutely. And Rosie, you're always welcome to join, just so you know. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and when it comes to support, I think it's good to, when you're talking about your country of birth, Ethiopia, it's
mhm,
good to see that there's support from so many people around you, neighbors, family members, different
mm,
generations. And
mhm,
I guess that all of us can learn something from it because it seems as if with money and education, socializing becomes less and less. Then again,
mhm, mhm,
now with the internet and what we are doing, of course, personal development and everything,
mhm.
around it, we get to connect. And it's so cool. I mean, because we are on different
Absolutely. Yes.
continents. And here we are talking to one
Absolutely.
another.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're welcome, Ellen. You're welcome. And she says,
Mm.
good to meet you, Mina. So,
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciated. Um, we are discussing about support.
hmm
Like for me, support, it might be very like little things, recognizing someone coming, even if we don't say hi to them, in our culture, of course, we say hi, good morning, good afternoon, how's it? And we say like, thanks to God, we are doing great, that kind of thing. You don't just pass by,
yeah.
you don't pass by people. So here it was, yeah, a little bit challenging, but for me, support means recognizing that person. It might be opening the door for somebody, like the big support might be, helping someone with their purpose, with their vision, with bigger things in life.
hmm
And for me, support might be like standing in front of the door and putting jackets on like for my kids, when they go out,
hmm
uh, as simple as that. Um, Especially for the people who came from sociable culture or the culture that they have support, they used to have support. And when they come here, they don't have that kind of support anymore. I believe we have to learn to ask for support,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's true. And
Yes.
I can't say that any better. So Ellen says they just passed by here. I'm a country city girl, city gal,
Uh-huh.
and I speak even if they don't. I love people, and I see,
Uh-huh.
Mina, you're like that too, and I'm like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So my
Mm-hmm.
mom wasn't like that, by the way, because she felt like she was judged by the color of her skin, literally. And I was like, no, that can't be true because I'm not, so how can you be? But, you know, that was already imprinted in her brain, mindsets, you know, the way she was raised. And of course, she was raised differently than I was. I mean, she got hit and all that stuff, you know, different kind of culture, different story. But today, it's actually kind of funny. I saw someone, so I went for takeout, and there was this guy standing next to the counter, and he was like, and I was like, okay. So I smiled at him, and he was still like, I said, yeah, you know, I'm having a great day here. I'm just trying it all, you know, getting one thing and another and another. And he was still like, but at least then some words came out of him. And I was like, what the heck? How come you don't respond to a smile? But the part where I am, so there's The Hague, big city in the Netherlands. And then there's right next to it, there are some little villages, and they are primarily with blonde people over there. So when they see me, they see me as an outsider.
Okay.
And they might respond to that. And like you said, I'm someone who already engages with people. So, you know, when I walk in the street and I see people, I always give them a smile and I get a smile back, you know. Especially people who are a little bit lonely. They love it when you say, hey, I, or just that smile. So, Ellen has a lot of questions. Lexy, is your mother black or the same? Well, my mom is a little bit darker than I am. I can understand your mom, and she has more freckles, but of course I'm using this filter from Cats from B, which makes me all perfect, but I actually have freckles here too. You just can't see it right now. I guess my color would be more like a little bit lighter than the Asian people, probably a little bit lighter, or maybe compared to the Mexican people. I think it's a little bit lighter than that. So is my mother black? Well, no, she's not black, but black hair, black eyes, and a little bit darker with freckles. And my grandmother from my dad's side, by the way, has got red hair and freckles. So, afraid that mom will embrace the skin she's in. Well, she died a year ago, in 27 days, 26 days. No, she never embraced her skin color. No, she never did. Yeah, she couldn't. She couldn't. It was. Yeah, but that's for a different conversation.
Lexy, what did you say? The last part? I don't see. How do I see the question? Okay, I have to move them.
Scroll up. So it automatically scrolls up for me.
Okay.
So I just get to see it. So can you scroll up too?
Okay. I did. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just I'm checking. Like I thought it goes by itself, you know, up like that.
It normally does, because for me it does. And there is Joe. Hey, Joe. And Joe is from England. And when it comes to support, she knows all about support because we support one another. And that's what I love about the internet. Like you and I are talking right now. And there's someone else. Do you know Mary? She's not a movement maker, but she does join the shows from Send the Man a lot, and Terry, and also mine, by the way, mine and Joe's. So she is from. I always forget which one it is. It's somewhere in Africa. So now she's going to. I'm sorry, I always forget it, and it comes back to memory again at some point.
Ethiopia?
No. She's from something with an M, and I always forget it, and then it comes back to
Lagos?
mind. Sorry?
She's from Nigeria, Lagos?
She's from...
Lebanon. Oh, Lebanon is not.
No. Something which starts with an M. From
Mombasa or
no,
Mali?
no. I'll come to it later. So
Okay, it's okay.
I'm not laughing at you, Ellen. I'm just having a good time and saying that you should come on live.